Yo! Well, so, quick recap of what we're going to do here. This is incredibly overdue. Yellow Card, the YouTube channel, hit 3,000 subs probably 6 months ago. But yeah, so we hit 3,000 a couple months ago. We realized sometime in June, and then we said, you know what? 3,000 subs is quite a lot, especially considering how on and off we are as a channel. So we wanted to do something to kind of celebrate it. So I did ask for that Q&A session.
Quick announcement for those of you who are either watching live or watching this back on YouTube. I figured, you've been waiting for this video for /stream for a month and a half. And one of the reasons that we aren't doing it until now is because I've been busy with BSF season. I was judging Hungary, I was judging Spain. London was now over a week and a half ago. I was like, okay, I've been busy up until now, but now that we can do it, I figured I might as well share me judging with the community. And what I've decided to do is, I've got some spare judge promos from having judged these events. So here, we have 2 copies of the Cushionada judge promo, and 2 copies of the Bellinus judge promo. And what I'll do is, if we've answered your question in this stream/video from Twitter, and you are either watching this live or watching on YouTube, send a DM to the Yellow Card Twitter saying, hey, you answered my question, and I will send you one of these, wherever you are in the world. So that's the mini giveaway I'm doing as a bonus.
Great incentive to even throw your questions into the Twitch chat as well, just to get us some more inspiration of just being able to talk. I'm hoping that a lot of the questions we get today will kind of spark us to think a bit more critically about Vanguard once again, and try and bring certain topics back, like Yellow Card Cram School. That was our big thing, and we haven't done anything for Cram School in a while, because I think both Ben and I realized that the game is fairly solved. There's only so much that we can re-elaborate on the core concept of the game without just kind of remaking the same video with a different title. So hopefully through a lot of these questions we do get some new ideas, and I think that'll be a great bump for the channel. In any case, let's go on to the first question here. Alright, so first question from Amis at Dragonic Blaster. Congratulations on the 3,000. Here are my questions. The first question is, did you ride this turn? So clearly this is targeted at me. This is definitely targeted at me. And the answer is, to be able to use any of my effects, no, I did not ride this turn. I think it's actually funny that it was about this time last year that Thing Saver got revealed and the skill got released. And to this day, 1 year after, Thing Saver still hasn't gotten any noticeable support cards to try and alleviate the fact that it really, really sucks going second.
I'm still seeing play here and there. It's not complete garbage.
Yeah, it's not complete garbage. I think it's still valuable in the fact that its skill is literally a raw +2 off of drive checking, with deck compression as well. So I think I unironically think the deck is very close. The deck is very, very close. But I think that's also why Bushiroad needs to be very careful with how they take Thing Saver. So the answer to the first question, did I ride this turn? No. Now, Ben, you might have a different question for this one. Did you ride this turn?
I actually have not been riding this turn either. All the decks I've been playing lately are very mono-track in their plan. I've picked up Regalias and I picked up Dimension Police for premium, and both of those decks are Force 2 decks, as you know, and they don't need to rewrite. Regalia occasionally, if you're going for a late game, 9 attack Minerva combo, you can maybe put Force 2 on a rear guard so you can restand it with a Norn. But yeah, it's none of the decks I've been actively playing need to re-ride. I haven't been playing standard at all because I've been lending out all my decks. Same story for V. I lent out Luard, so I haven't been playing that. Things may change in the BCS season because, as I made a promise earlier this year, once I now have my playset of BSF Malkuth promos. I've got a playset of Yafgiel SP coming in the mail from the US. So when they arrive, I'm planning to partake in a handful of V format BCSs this year, and I will be playing Malkuth, and I will almost certainly be riding at least twice every turn.
Hell yeah. I think actually, now that you mention it, between V and Premium as well for myself, I'm actually not playing a lot of like rewrite decks. So, did I write this turn? I guess the answer will be no. Yeah, I just haven't rewrote this turn a lot. Yeah, so Thing Saver, I'm still not riding this turn. In Premium as well, like you said, I'm still playing Regalia. I'm still playing Tsukiyomi OTT kind of pile, which is a lot of like, ride once and done, and then you try and like kill them on the second stride. So not a lot of like force spamming. All right. Second question from Amos: when will you ever continue to update the cram school vids? So bring it back to the topic of how we were just kind of trying to fish for ideas on what to make for cram school. I definitely feel that I do want to continue the cram school vids, but like we said earlier, it feels like the game is solved and it's interesting and it's hard to see where to take cram school. I feel that we've basically explored most of what we want to explore cram school, but I do want to expand on it. I don't want to really re-explore old concepts. I already did that with numbers going into the overdress format, but I'm not sure where else to take the series, even though I want to take the series.
Yeah, I'm in a slightly different boat. Like, I think that a lot of the cram school videos are worth redoing, especially using standard examples and overdress examples. The issue I have with redoing them is that they're significantly less applicable. Like, the thing about cram school is that it never covered, like, any one topic in depth. It would just be like, here's, 10 minutes of rambling that when you're next playing at locals, you can try to remember some of what we said and maybe, like, reevaluate how you're playing the game. And the issue with that is that it ends up being, like, we end up trying to keep it very generic. And the problem with standard right now is that generic advice doesn't fly. Like, because there's so much less variety, as it were. Well, not less variety isn't the right term, but like when you're playing, say, Gravidia into Bastion, that is its own separate compartmentalized package of information that you need to know, versus, say, Barrow versus Magnolia. Like, rather than just matchups, there's a lot of very specific information now that's relevant. One big example is, if I'm playing Nirvana versus Prison, I'll just let them imprison my Esperadia grade 4 on turn 2 with their ride chain, and then I can call it out immediately without having to be grade 4. Without having to be grade 4, I can just be on grade 3 Nirvana, and still get the restand and stuff like that. And it's like... Or, say, for example, with even V Premium, like... I saw someone, a close friend of mine, he was playing Gurgit for the first time at Springfest. And I told him I was watching his game, and I told him afterwards, like, right, that Aglavel's not once per turn. You can attack with Aglavel, shove something in, bounce it, and then call it back with Max Slash, then tuck the Max Slash to bounce the Aglavel again. And he was like, I didn't know that. That is way better numbers. I will do that next time. And it's a lot of this very specific, like, specialized information. Things like, here's how to plan shield value. It's just so hard. It's not really something that people need to learn anymore, partly because shield value sucks in Overdress, but also partly because a lot of the times, like, you're either just guarding the attack because you have to, or you're not guarding the attack because you have no need to. There's no more, like, strategic denial of, like, on hits because people aren't playing on hits anymore. There's no more, like, I'll guard for exactly this much so that I can guard for that much later. It's now just you either have enough to guard both or you don't. So that the niche that cram school used to fill is a lot harder to find.
Yeah.
So I'm interested in doing, like, a spiritual successor to cram school, which is, like, a little bit more in-depth about specific things. Like, for example, pitching for ride deck, like knowing, okay, I'm going to discard this for now, discard that for later. Or going back to that Nirvana versus Prison example, something like pacing. Like, okay, well, if you're up against this sort of deck, you know that you want to be faster. If you're up against that sort of deck, you know that you need to slow down a bit, so on and so forth. And it's just finding the appropriate vehicle for that.
Yeah.
That's a little bit difficult right now.
I think when Zistral and I started up the Yellow Card Vanguard channel, our main video series would be the Cram School series. And our main idea was to have Cram School be very time agnostic. And a lot of the original videos that we did, they are time agnostic. Like, I can still go back to a lot of like our old videos and apply them to how the game is right now. Noto in chat asks, what about instead of going to game mechanics, how about you go into out-of-game ideas like how to identify and build towards a win con, what makes a card good?
We did that as well, right?
Yeah.
There are Cram School videos for those, and again, like, they hold up. Like, you can go back and rewatch the WinCon Cram School from like 3 or 4 years ago, and it's still really, really relevant. It's just that it's that might not be something that someone directly goes in to look for anymore.
Yeah,
that's what I mean by sort of remake or quote unquote spiritual successor. It's just
even like the card evaluation, like Zistro in this video. Because I think one of the topics we had was like, as new cards were coming out, a lot of people were overly enthusiastic about subpar cards, and I think Zistral and I had the idea of showing people how to properly evaluate new cards and how to evaluate them like in context of what format they're in context of what other cards belong to that format. So that's there here. Then on the topic of like deck building, like I had this really long two-parter of like how to like deck building towards a win con, going towards like a top end, and then going down towards a bottom end, and that still like applies now. A lot of decks now you look at towards like what is my win con and how do I build towards it. So I still think like to build a deck is probably one of my favorite things that I've done for the Cram School series. But maybe it is worth revisiting and like redoing these videos with like new and bright eyes, so to say. Yeah. But definitely something to think about in the future. Alright, going on to the next question. From Astral Susano. If you guys know Astral Susano, that's Mo. What is your favorite moment and least favorite moment as a Link Joker player? So clearly, I do believe that this is tailored towards Uzis.
Yeah, I don't think you've ever played Link Joker before, so...
I have, but I wouldn't call myself an enthusiast of Link Joker, so go for it.
So my personal favorite moment was in BSF Cardiff of 2017. This backstory is that I was there to take my judge interview, like to become a judge, and they told when I turned up, they were like, "Oh yeah, no, we're gonna do like judge interviews at the end of the day," and I was like, "Oh, so should I just stick around?" And they're like, "Well, you're already here. You're at the front desk. I'll sign you up. You might as well play, and then we'll do the judging at the end of the day." I was like, "Cool, that sounds good." And then I just happened to have Chaos on me at the time. And this was just after the GB8s had come out, that Fires Collection. I think it was like, Fires Collection 2017 with the GB8s. And I was like, oh, alright, I guess I'll just play that. Like, I've literally only just updated it. My GB8s literally only arrived like yesterday, but, let's try it. Let's see what happens. And I ended up going X2 in day 1. Barely, I made day 2. And I barely missed top cut because I accidentally threw a game in like round 2 of day 2. So like I ended up being X3 at the end of it at the end of 9 or 10 rounds. And I was really upset because actually I lost to Victor, Nova Grappler, which is a matchup that I should auto win. And I lost because I just misplayed because I just wasn't concentrating. But yeah, like I finished on like 12th or 11th or something. But yeah, my personal favorite moment was in day 1. It's round 5, I think, round 4 or round 5 or round 6, somewhere like in the middle, and I'm up against Bermuda, and it's Harmony, like so Loris, what's her name, Emilia, Speaker, Potpourri, like GCB, I think I want to say 3, not even 5 Harmony, so like it doesn't have the
no wedding SPs yet, right?
No wedding SPs.
Yeah.
It might have had the GB2 Loris, but I don't remember.
No, I don't think the GB2 Loris was out then. Yeah. No, it was just the original, like, Break Stride Loris.
Yeah, Olivia and stuff. So I was playing against that. And obviously, like, Chaos annihilates Bermuda. Like, completely annihilates it. And, credit to the guy I was playing against. He did set up, like, the double Emilia line, which, like, let him play the game. But it wasn't anywhere near enough, so he still lost. And I just remember, like, I remember being on stream, playing it out. I did my alt wilder, like ripped 5 cards out of his hands shenanigans that everyone's used to seeing. At the end of the game, like the camera's above the table, and I turned around and smiled, holding a chaos, which in hindsight is DM to the guy who's playing it. So I apologize to him, like post mortem. But I remember doing that, and then at the end of the day, like just after I finished my judge interview, like I opened up Discord, opened up Twitter, opened up Facebook. And I'm scrolling back through, and everyone I know was watching the stream, and they're like, "Oh, he's all wiring. Oh, he's GBA. Oh, lock 5 from hand." And I was like, "Damn!" Like, I didn't realize people were this hype about chaos like making a resurgence. So that was pretty fun. Like, it also was really good to experience because I knew that was the same format that 7 Seas Rush was like. The best thing in the format. Like, it was destroying Luard, destroying Gear Chronicle. It won a bunch of events back to back. And I remember like feeling really good about my chances because Chaos annihilates 7 Seas Rush. Like, I don't need GB, I just sit on limit break 4, then you lose the game and you deck out. Like there's no way around that. So like after winning on stream, I was like, okay, yeah, I've got this. Like there's a very real chance I can get there, which I missed because that was one of the few times that Link Joker was actively good. As for my least favorite moment, it was definitely the tail end of G era, when every single clan was getting unlock effects. Like Angel Feather had the unlock crit, Aquaforce had the G guard, Nova Grappler had the G guard and the crit, and it was like, Tachikaze had retire circles, not retire units. Like by the end of the G, like Ange bounced bounce lock cards. Like by the end of G, like it was pretty much impossible to actually play Link Joker because playing Link Joker would just like play into your opponent's game plan, and like there was no. One of the reasons I like Link Joker is because it forces your opponent to play your game, which Messiah doesn't do, like Chaos does, and that's something that I've really missed. That's why I've been trying so hard to play Chaos and V where I can, because it has that feeling again, and it's like, well. This isn't this sure, I'm restanding Volcos and I am bashing them a bunch of times, but it's not the same. It's not the same.
For me, I'm definitely not as well versed in Link Joker as Zistral is, but my first entrance into Link Joker was I was talking with Zistral over Discord. And at this time, I didn't play the English side of the game. I played a lot of the Japanese side of the game because that's what my group in Toronto would do. We would buy the Japanese version of the card game because it was a lot cheaper, so we would just have more decks to play with. I saw on Yahoo Auctions an entire Messiah playset. Everything Messiah up until, I believe, just before Rondo of Salvation. And I asked Zistral, do I make the jump? Do I finally become a Link Joker player? He was like, do it. So I immediately bought that entire thing and I started playing around with it because I think at this point as well, we just got the new Messiah starter deck that came with Neo Altar. The one that unlocks the Soul Blast one to draw 2. Oh. And basically after that, once it was very fun. So that was to build upon that as well. As Rondo came out and we got stuff like Metal Layer, Messiah, Lady Fencer, Neo Harmonics, and then Zistral and I put out, Zistral was the main brains behind it, but I talked with him a lot about it, and then we put out that initial Messiah combo, which is to date our best performing video. I thought that was really fun. It was probably my favorite moment because I was able to bounce ideas off of Zis as well, to be able to help produce that video, and that's probably one of my favorite moments. Least favorite moments as a Link Joker player was probably the reboot. The reboot because all of my experience with Link Joker was with Messiah. I didn't play Deleters, I didn't play Chaos. It was all Messiah. And to have the reboot happen and basically all of my efforts put into the G Messiah deck with the restand with the Metal Layers, with the Awakenings, all that kind of combos be kind of pushed aside. It just kind of put a damper on my enthusiasm for Link Joker. But that is probably my favorite and least favorite moments. Going on to the next question. We have Noto at It's Morgan Time. How do you eat noodles correctly?
Okay, so this question, So let me give you some backstory to this question, right? So Morgan is another member of Team Brexit, and we have a slight joke. So this photo is not relevant to that joke. I'll mention this right now. But basically, like back during like mid-March, Hal, myself, and one or two other people were hanging out, and Hal's boyfriend was there, and you know, like I think if I call him Jack, it should be fine. I think if I mention the fact that Jack was the person who was carried to third place by Maxime and Dave at BSF London in V format, so coming third in V, despite going 0x, despite having never played V before, that is Jack's, as just so everyone knows. So Jack was there as well. We were hanging out, and then we went to get food, and we went to Marugame, which is an udon restaurant, and you know, I was giving Hal advice on how to use chopsticks, because Hal is not very good at using chopsticks. And we were talking, like, oh yeah, you have to like pinch the noodles with the tip of your chopsticks, and then pull it up, and then put it on your spoon, and then you know the technique, right? Where you roll it onto your spoon, and then like eat it as one bite. So I was teaching how to do that, and then Hal and I opposite each other, and then like a seat up next to Hal, like a bit down, like just out of the corner of my eye, I see Jack holding a spoon like borderline upside down, like trying to like shovel the noodles like one at a time, like on the edge of like, that thing where people do where they put the noodle on the spoon and then it slips off, and then you have the noodles like dangling on the edge of your spoon, like on the handle of your spoon like that. Like that was basically what was going on, and I was just watching Jack. I was just watching him eat these noodles. I was like, "What the fuck are you doing?" Like it hurts me to watch you do this. And so it became like a sort of a small joke that like, oh, Jack doesn't know how to use chopsticks or eat noodles, ha ha ha. And then that was so because of that, we would go to eat like after locals regularly, and this photo just happened to be taken one of those other random times when I was you can see I'm eating like a beef katsu curry, and yeah, I just dislocating my jaw like a snake. But anyway, that's the context behind that question. It is a quote unquote jab at Jack, but also because I take eating Asian food in the Asian way very seriously. So to answer the question properly, the way you eat chopsticks is... Let me grab some pens.
What do you mean eat chopstick? Do you mean eat noodles with chopsticks?
So the bottom chopstick, you want to rest between your thumb and your ring finger. And what you basically want is, you want there to be 3 points of contact. So the first point of contact is between the first knuckle of your ring finger, the first knuckle of your thumb, and then the base knuckle of your index finger. Like, I know that's super clear, but it's like 1, 2, 3. And these 3 points, when you apply pressure with your thumb, just by pressing inwards like that, it keeps the bottom chopstick stable. So the bottom chopstick never moves. And as you notice, you have the bunny ears free, and your thumb can move a little bit, but this is where most of the work happens. So your second chopstick, you hold like a pen, basically, like in between these 3 fingers. And what basically happens is, the thumb stays mostly still, and the tip of your thumb, which is holding the top chopstick, is acting like a pivot point, like a seesaw. And then you're using your middle and index fingers to push. So when you want to move the chopstick up, use the ring finger to push up, and when you want to push down, use the index finger to push down. And so that's how you should hold your chopsticks. And like I said, to get the best grip on a thin noodle, you want to make sure that you're gripping like just on the tip, like so there's as little contact between the top and the bottom as possible. And you want to like lightly pinch, not pinch so hard that you split the noodle, but pinch hard enough that you can pick it up. And you want to find wherever the shorter side is. So wherever the shorter side is, you want to lift that onto the end of your spoon. And then while that's there, you want to adjust your grip so that you're picking up the long side of the noodle from where you're picking up, and lift it all the way up above the bowl so that you have, from here, a little bit dangling on this side, and a lot dangling on the other side. And then with the long dangling on the other side, you're going to slowly, holding a spoon like normal, you're going to rotate it as you lower it down so that it forms like like, you know when a snake is coiled up, like that sort of like conical spiral shape. You're trying to form that with the noodle, and then once it's relatively stable, you can let go and shovel the whole thing into your mouth as one big noodle, which is all curled up. That's one way. The other way is to just grab the noodle from your chopstick and just shove it in your mouth via the chopstick, and then do like, you know, the slurp thing that you usually see. I don't like doing that because it gets soup everywhere, but that is also an option. So that's how you're meant to do it. And then things like, you know, what you put on your noodles and whatever, it depends if you're having udon, ramen, chow mein, whatever, but that is the technique, okay? That is the technique.
Very, very relevant to Vanguard. Let's go to the next question. Celestial Zero asks, have you considered learning Simlish? I'm assuming Simlish is the language that Sims speak? Like Sims 3, Sims 4?
I think so. Okay. This question is good in a different way, because I'm about to say something that I think people might be surprised about. I've literally never played The Sims. Ever. Any of them.
Oh, I neither have I. I only know of The Sims because it was very popular growing up.
Yeah. Like, it's not the sort of game that I would, like... I've never looked at The Sims and be like, I want to play this. It's not the sort of game I would play. So, yeah, I've never played The Sims, so no, I have no reason to learn Simlish.
English to Simlish... Okay, let's say... Fuck, he over-triggered again. Crab, he over-triggered again. Alright, that's the only thing we need to know. Crab, he over-triggered again.
It's basically just English.
Yeah.
Just a bit more gibberish.
Cardweeb. Vision at Medify asks, Charlie. Yeah, shoutouts to Cardweeb.
Wow,
Alright.
Wow, imagine that. He's in the chat.
Do I have 1 or 2 husbands now? You only have 1 and it's me. Okay? I swear to God, if I hear that you are cheating on me, I'll be very sad. I won't do anything. I'll just be sad.
I mean, I've been teaching Charlie Weiss, like, up until recently.
So oh, really? You've been teaching him Weiss?
I don't know if that's what he considers anything, but to me, that is a strictly platonic, transactional relationship.
This is for Yellow, and this one is for Zistro. What is the craziest experience you've had as a Bushy judge?
Oh. There's 2 that come to mind, both for different reasons. So I'll do the what's the word? The tame one first.
Okay.
Which is obviously BSF 2019. No, not 2019. Was it 2019? No, yeah, it was 2019. BSF 2019 Cardiff. We had 350 players, so 120 odd teams for Springfest, for Team League that year. And due to a logistical error from Bushy Road, there were only 2 judges on staff, including myself. So yeah, there was myself and one other fellow, Dan Cottam. Those of you watching from Britain may recognize that name. Yeah, just the 2 of us running around a giant hall, handing out slips, answering queries, getting everything sorted. It was a nightmare and a half. Like, we did have Bushy Road staff there with us to, like, you know, do things like scorekeeping and print out standings and whatnot. But in terms of, like, telling people to sit down, telling when the round was starting, like, you know, chasing up matches that were going to time, that was just the 2 of us, and that was honestly hectic. Like, there was basically no point that day that I could just sit down and relax for more than, like, 5 minutes. Because, you know, for example, there were, like, what, 50 odd match slips. And I would do 25, and Dan would do 25. And halfway through, like, you know, us giving out some match slips, someone would have a judge call, which is, you know, fine, we expect that. But then obviously we'd have to stop doing match slips to go answer that query. And that query would take anywhere from 5 to 10 minutes. Which is 5 to 10 minutes that we're not handing out match slips. And by the time we answered that query, even though we hadn't finished handing out match slips, some tables would be done, and they'd just be sitting there waiting for their slips. So we'd be handing out the slips, stopping to do other stuff, going back to hand out slips. And it would reach a point where, you know, I got my slips all handed out in time, and then I would go answer a query, and the player would just be like, oh, we finished, we just haven't got our match slip yet. And I'd look around like, you know, oh, Dan's still, like, you know, over there on the other side of the room, coming this way, slowly still handing out match slips. It's like, I just had to, yeah, just please be patient, you know, like, we're doing what we can. Like, it's time to run back and forth, like, okay, you know, do this, do that, you know, tell Dan, like, okay, you know, we have to do this afterwards, like, standings at the end of this round, prep for top 8, etc., etc. Yeah, it was very, very hectic. In terms of the other answer I wanted to give is 2018? No. 2017. 2017 BSF, or was it BCS? I don't remember which event it was, but someone watching who was there should be able to remind me. But it was basically in Belgium. We were in Brussels, so this was before we started moving to Antwerp for all the events. So the way the Antwerp venue works is that you have the game shop, and then it's like under this. I don't know how to describe it. How the hell do I describe this? Hang on, let me see if I can Google Maps this, like Street View this for everyone. But like, it's like an awning because there's another shop across the way. Outpost Brussels. Let's see. Yes, and then I want Street View. Can I show this off properly? Yeah. Okay. So.
Alright, Discord.
I'm gonna take this screenshot and put it in Discord, so Tony can share this Discord screenshot. So so on the right hand side you see the game store, and on the left hand side is some random restaurant. And what this store used to do for events, because the store on the right has a limited floor capacity, they would literally hire out this place on the left hand side and fill it with tables. So there'll be tables of players in both sides of the room, like, you know, or in both buildings, in both rooms playing, and the judges, you know, we'd have to move back and forth to coordinate between that. And yeah, so it was like 2017, I think. I don't remember which event it was, but it's 2017. We're judging the event, everything's going fine. And then we're getting towards like the end of Swiss. You know, the day's starting to wrap up, people are just like milling around in the middle, which is an open public space, so people, you know, they can mill around there, just hanging out. And then, yeah, some random dude, not a gamer, just a random dude, walks in off the street into the restaurant area, sees like all the players playing, and was like, I wanted dinner. And we're like, yeah, sorry man, the restaurant's closed today, like we're doing an event. And he's like, but I want dinner. And I had to like walk back across, get the owner of the shop to come back and explain to him in Belgian why he couldn't have food that day. Which is pretty silly.
I wanted dinner.
So I mean, like, it sounds exactly like the Little story that Dave told on JJ's stream a few days ago about like how people were queuing up outside of BSF London and Little was closed because it didn't open until 11, and some guy came up and started threatening to punch them because he wanted to go into Little. The only reason I don't tell that story is because I wasn't there to experience it. So you'll have to ask like Echo or Dave Vect or like basically anyone that was playing in BSF London about that story at some other time, because I don't actually know that story.
God, that's pretty funny, jeez. Alright, next question we have from Kai. Not WCC Kai, but Kai. Favorite format, e.g. a limit break, Legion, or older format? So, for me, gameplay-wise, my favorite format was Break Ride format. I think in a gameplay perspective, I thought Break Ride was like just very cool design-wise. Being able to go from one Vanguard to another Vanguard, but benefiting from doing such thing with getting extra effects. I think it was very unique, and basically it did like promote the idea of wanting to ride a lot in Vanguard. But as like in general, I think my favorite format was definitely G. I think G is where I got the most invested into Vanguard, where I was able to like, we started up Yellow Card off of G. Something in G made it click that I really understood how to play the game. And basically that's why I love G a lot more. Like the numbers made sense in G. The effects making numbers make sense was like very helpful as well. And basically G is kind of like where I felt that I solved the game the most. And that's why it's probably my favorite format in general, whereas Break Ride would be my favorite format gameplay wise.
Yeah, for me, it's also like early to mid G. Though my reasoning is because, like, the game's always had power creep. There's no denying that. But what I liked most about like G format is that the power creep was definitely scaled back. Like, like in Limit Break era, right? You had the good decks like Revenge, Raging Form. You had Ezel. You had Chaos Breaker. All this sort of stuff. But if you weren't one of the top tier like decks in Limit Break era, you almost didn't exist. Like where was like Maelstrom was only tier 2. Kagero basically didn't exist until the rebirth. And like there was so many like Great Nature, like in the Chat Noir was a really powerful card. Like Great Nature as a deck just didn't exist. And we have the same problem throughout all of V and right now in Standard, where if it's like tier 2, tier 3, it basically doesn't exist. But what I like about mid-G is that the power creep was low enough and the discrepancy between high tiers was low enough that you could play some old stuff and you could play build weird stuff and it would still work. Like I remember in late 2016, early 2017, I built within the span of 6 months, I bought and built Nova Victor, Yggdrasil Legion, Vermilion Legion, and Silverthorns, all within the space of 6 months. Like I built them all for really cheap, and even though none of them were good decks, I would never take any of them to a tournament, they were fun to play, and the game was close enough that I could play them against tier 1 decks at locals and with friends without losing and being blown out the water. Whereas nowadays, if I try and play these tier 2 for fun decks against tier 1 decks, I basically have to hit Overtrigger to win that game. And so the fact that I could punch up, while still having fun was what I liked the most about G. You could come up with all these weird things there was that bluish flame OTK deck I played for a really long time. What else did I used to play? I had that Mimi Detonics Descendant Breakcry combo deck that I played for a short period of time. I even played No Kiel for a bit because I needed a tier 1 deck and No Kiel was a tier 1 deck. But again, moving between No Kiel, Overlord, and Chaos, it wasn't going up and down a mountain. It was just moving it up a few flights of stairs, and that's what I missed the most.
Yeah, I think that's a really good way to put it. Okay, next question we have will be from Var Heron. Happy 3K subs. Is there any mechanic, specific ruling, game design philosophy, or literally anything, not including merch or artwork related stuff, from any other card game that you would like to see in Vanguard? I think I'm going to let you spearhead this question, Tis.
I mean, my answer is really easy, and it's obviously, people can probably see this coming from a mile away, but Magic has an infraction policy guide and a floor rules policy that is very well outlined, very well written, and I follow wherever I can. Sometimes even superseding Bushiroad's floor rules, because a lot of Bushiroad's floor rules just don't make sense. So yeah, I guess I can expand that more. It's the way the judge program is treated, or the way the game, the way the game is structured and run as a whole. I have nothing against Vanguard's comprehensive rules. I think there's just there are 1 or 2 clauses in it that don't make sense. I think the way Magic treats its players as far as acknowledging the game goes. There's this one Magic judge who I respect, his name's Sheldon Menry, he's the godfather of Magic judges. And his statement was that card games attract a very specific kind of person, and that kind of person will try to break the game wherever they can. And I love that as well. I'm sometimes that sort of people. I know that there are a lot of people in Vanguard that are that sort of people, and I welcome it. My issue is that the way Bushiroad, and this is both JP, originally from JP issue as well, is that they don't acknowledge or they don't prep for those things very well, and there's stuff that happens that it's not a failure of game design, but I think they could be more open to how it feels like Bushiroad designed the game for themselves, not for the players, and so I'd like to see that changed a little bit. So the way Magic does it, whenever Magic comes up with stuff, they think about the players first. So that's kind of something I'd like to see.
What would I like to see in Vanguard? I think we're slowly starting to see best of three. I think best of three would be really nice to see. I'm not sure how I would implement a side deck in Vanguard, since a lot of deck building in Vanguard is very tight already. And a lot of side deck options would be like limited to incredibly niche tech options. Like I think
stuff like Connolly, right?
Stuff like Connolly, right?
Yeah.
Like I'm thinking, so like in premium, you have like 4 to 5 flex slots. And sometimes it would be like your 4 Rolocks if you're like a ride down deck. It'd be like your Honolly if you're able to tutor it out. And at the same time, there is a lot of like risk benefit in including those cards in your deck when they won't be useful. That having a side deck would then kind of mitigate that risk that you're putting in by having those cards in your deck that you would be able to take out in like game 2, game 3 in a best of 3 format as well. For example, like what Lord's saying in chat right now, like the new Blitz Order Sentinel, that could be something that you could just like throw in your side deck that would have more impact.
DP, yeah, sure.
Yeah.
I see that. I think the best way that Vanguard could possibly do best of 3 is like there's no point like pretending anymore. I think at this point it's fairly obvious that anyone that plays Vanguard is fairly well enfranchised. Like, you know, there's no like you have casual players, but you don't have casual consumers. And I think if Vanguard is going to move into best of 3 at this point, the way to do it is to do conquest format. Like, just have 3 like most people, like pretty much every single person I know that owns physical Vanguard cards owns more than one deck.
Yeah.
Like, with the exception of like 2 or 3 people.
I actually really like that idea.
They might as well embrace it. Yeah, they might as well just embrace it.
I think Conquest is really cool, actually. Yeah, now that you're bringing it up, I think it'd be really good as well, because would it introduce variety? It might, because then your first game, your first match, deck matchup, might not always be the same, even if you're bringing the same 3 decks as everyone else in the room. It would produce a lot of like interesting matchups where like your first deck that you're going to present is a lot different from what someone else might present as their first deck, and then swapping out. But on that same topic, I have been playing a lot of Yu-Gi-Oh! Recently, because that's all my city supports is the big 3, Yu-Gi-Oh!, Pokemon, and MTG. So I decided to go into the Yu-Gi-Oh! Side of things while waiting for the country to open up more, that I'd be able to swing down to Toronto and play more Vanguard, and once I get a job. But yeah, in Yu-Gi-Oh! I think one of the more interesting concepts is, like I said, building the side deck and knowing how to side. Siding patterns and like keeping in mind certain matchups that are prevalent in the meta to decide like what text to have in your main, what text to have in your side. And I think like it'd be cool to see that implemented in Vanguard somehow, but I do like the idea of like a conquest format, period, without any sideboard. I think that'd be really cool as well.
Yeah, it's kind of like Team League, but you're putting a lot more of the skill onus on just you, because now you have to play all 3 decks.
Okay, from Radiant Vanguard, congrats on the 3K. For a question I'll go with, what's an archetype ride line you'd like to see mechanically and aesthetically in Vanguard? Going off my name, I want to see something Kamen Rider based, something Tokusatsu based. A lot of like
what exists in DP, right?
It exists, but like I want to like mechanically have that henshin aspect, right? Like a unit that something happens and it be able to like turn into something else. I think that'd be really cool. It would introduce interesting deck building as well. Like, let's go into the concept. Let's talk about Decade, for instance, right? So you have Decade, and then you can like Decade can like transform into like all the other like Decade forms of like the Heisei era.
Right.
Let's say like
it feels like Youthbuck is about to do that, right?
Yes, and that's why I actually think Youthburg is really cool, because like you have like your Youthburg and then Youthburg like turning out into other forms.
Yeah.
But I think it's more like on one card to have that's able to search from your deck to turn it into that by meeting a condition or something. Whereas with Youthburg and with Overdress, with like Trickstar in general, a lot of it is you already have to have the piece already. I kind of want to see it be able to, for a cost, turn into the other one.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
I see what you mean.
I think
kind of like Brad Black sort of style.
Kind of like Brad Black, yeah.
Sure. Yeah, I think that'd be cool.
Right, what about you?
So mechanically, I've always been interested in the idea of resource denial. Like, I play Magic, I play Mono Blue Control in Commander, I play Esper Control in Modern. Well, those are my second things after combo. But like Magic combo does not translate to Vanguard combo at all. Like, it's impossible for Vanguard to be like, I play 10 cards, I storm off, and then I kill you with Grape Shot. That doesn't exist. So I like playing, like straight up deny, you can't play the game sort of things. And Mega Colony got really close to that with Ghidorah, the Soul Blast one, and force your opponent to counter blast, and you get the counter charge. I think that's a really cool ability, and I would have loved to see more of it, like really lean into it. Like, for example, a stride that turns all your opponent's damage face down. And then if 2 or less cards were turned face down this way, you draw a card or like gain a drive or something like that. Like just stuff for, like if your opponent has 2 or less soul, do something. If you have 6 or more soul, do something else. Just like, taxing your opponent's resources, things like bits and pieces like that. And I would have loved to see it aesthetically on Ice Dragons. Because green clans have dragons, they have like, well, okay, green clans don't have as many dragons, but they have Arboros, they have some stuff in Near Nectar. Red clan is obviously all dragons. Grey clans is like Link Joker mostly. Messiah's a kind of a dragon. Yellow clans have tons of dragons. Whereas the only dragons blue clan ever had was Maelstrom, which, I feel like Ice in general was just not a very well explored aesthetic, and I personally really liked that aesthetic, so yeah, it would be nice to see like an Ice Dragon style, like basically an Ice Kagro that instead of retiring your opponent's rear guards, retires your opponent's resources. That's something I would.
Yeah.
I don't think I could ever design something like that to make it work, balanced or good. But the idea of something like that, I think, is yet to be explored and would be very interesting.
Bad Hombre, 10 out of 10, full asks, would you like if in the future they return to the clan-based system as the main focus for Standard? Or do you think it would be good for the game if they do so? So, in this topic, I think even though the game is nation-based, you still see a lot of clan-based in how specific certain support cards are for their ride lines. So even though all of these different ride lines are within an umbrella called nations, they're also hyper-specific in their support cards that these are already clans. And I think
there is some mix around. Like I've been seeing Flagberg with the Zorga ride line a lot lately, which is cool to see.
Yeah.
Or, like, you have or any Stoicheia deck with the Rorowa ride line just to make a free plant token.
Yeah.
Like stuff like that is really cool. But yeah, it's still like very limited. It's cool to see Magnolia be able to use Inlet Pulse as an insole draw. But the fact that Inlet Pulse literally says if your Vanguard is Flagberg Dragon, like it is basically already in a clan-based system. And what's more is it feels like things like the Zorga ride line, Spiritual Body Condensation, Bogle Mean for Brant Gate.
Yeah.
They are more like they're the exception rather than the norm.
Yeah.
I don't think they should return to a clan-based system. If anything, they should lean harder into the nation-based system.
Yeah. I'm hoping to see more things like that. Bulbamine, like that more super generic, super good stuff that it's able to go into any nation's deck. At the same actually no, I think that's just always a positive. I think it would push more product as well because more of that would need to be open to satisfy all these different ride lines, to satisfy all the different decks. What was the name of that great?
The fact that Gravidia World as a deck exists, I think is really super cool, and I would love to see more decks like that. And I want to try and see a deck that can play like a Meteor Engine, but with a non-Gravidia Grade 3, if maybe, who knows? I think there's so much more room for variety there, and that really opens up deck building. Over the last 5 months, I've gotten really into the Digimon card game, and deck building in Digimon is, you can do so much. I'm playing Imperial Dramon, but I can also tech in Shakomon. I can tech in Bond, Gabu Bond. I can tech in Hybrid Engine. There's so much you can do in Digimon that, you wouldn't normally think of, because sure, everything comes with deck building restraints and requirements. You have to like take X into consideration when you do this, but
Yeah.
it's way more open than the Vanguard, and I think that leads to some really cool stuff.
Yeah. So basically, I guess to fully answer, like I think we're going to both have the same answer here. Is that like we both hope that it doesn't return to clan based, because I think having this more open ended nation thing is a lot better. We have Maidenless Masher. Congrats, and this first question is definitely for you here. Is there a way to ever make Chaos Breaker Dragon relevant again? Or can a block format exist for Vanguard similar to block constructed for Magic or GOAT edited for Yu-Gi-Oh? What would be your ideal block format to play? So I'm going to give you the first question. I'll take the second one.
Yeah, the first question is really easy. Like, the simple answer is yes, and that's to unban Zinc. Like, I think that's the obvious answer, but I was thinking about this a lot, and I feel like I was actually thinking about this a few days ago, very recently, and I just like coming up with broken cards just to like satisfy, like just to pass the time. And for me, like in my head was Counterblast 1, flip anything from the G zone. This is Stride, obviously. If you have a heart with Chaos in its name, for each face-up G unit with Chaos in its name in your G zone face-up, choose one of your opponent's circles. Then, if there is a unit on that circle, lock it, and if there's no unit on that circle, your opponent locks from top of their deck onto that circle. Just something simple like that. Like, GB3, like, I don't know, gain 5k, like all your front row gains 5k for each of your opponent's lock cards, something like, even 2k, something like that. Just something that I can either lock open circles or lock closed circles without having to rely on any, like, Universe or Altani or whatever. And just a decent first stride that's maybe better than Universe sometimes. Something like that, I think, would make it go a long way into giving it reach. Maybe, like, some GB5 stride that was Battle Door based on the number of your opponent's lock cards. Like, they have to call a card. If they have 4 lock cards, they have to call 4 cards to guard at once. Something like that would also be a nice finisher. But I think the problem right now is that Chaos, like, has a garbage early game. Like, absolutely garbage early game. And there's not enough you can do in the early to mid game to offset that, because your deck is so resource dependent. So you need to be on like 2 or 3 damage going into first stride, and 2 or 3 damage is where a lot of decks can just kill you immediately. And there's currently no balance for that, I feel, but it's close. Like, just a few like all the V stuff so far has been really great. We just need 1 or 2 like proper early game cards.
Yeah, Craven Claw is a good card. So the second question, can a block format exist for Vanguard similar to block constructed for Magic or GOAT edited for Yu-Gi-Oh? So, as someone who started playing Yu-Gi-Oh again, I've been definitely looking at like old formats like GOAT, Edison, Plant Synchro format. Those are all very cool formats to explore, because it brings a different skill set that current modern Yu-Gi-Oh doesn't have. Especially in GOAT format, that is like the resource intensive format. You need to be able to like balance your resources very well. And Edison, Plant Synchro format, a lot of that is like knowing the matchup as well as a mixture of knowing the matchup, knowing your resources, and how to like balance between the both. Whereas modern is like a lot of knowing your matchup and knowing your own deck. So I think for Vanguard, I think the coolest block to have for Vanguard would definitely just to be trying to be able to like certain blocks within G. Because I think, like we said earlier in the video, G was the most balanced format of the game, since, like we said, we were able to punch up and not like break our fist on anything. So having something like GBT01 to GBT05 as a block, GBT06 to GBT10 as a block, and then GBT11 to end of G as a block, kind of like that, where like early you'd still see a lot of like this like Legion early G decks, and then you'd starting to see a lot of like the Time Bleep 7Cs, and towards the end it'd be more of that like Overlord, Aqua Force, Chaos Breaker kind of format. I think it'd be cool to see old formats researched like that.
Yeah, like, whenever I meet up with the boys in Europe, like, we're always bringing G decks, we're always playing G decks against each other, and I don't know if you could like directly say like put blocks like Magic does, but I think if you treat like up until the end of G, without any premium collections, like, up until the Bermuda booster with no premium collections, as the Vanguard equivalent of GOAT or Edison format, that's probably the closest you can get. But I think that alone is like really enjoyable and really good. So I would already like heavily encourage people to play G era. Like,
I think it'd be nice to see it as an official format as well that does get supported. Similar to how Speed Duels in Yu-Gi-Oh! Brings a lot of like these old cards back into print. A lot of people already have a lot of these like old cards that kind of diminished in value because of the reboot. That bringing an official GOAT or like a G format for Vanguard into official or like a side event at like Bushiroad events to be able to play with would be very good to like reintroduce old players back to the game. And I think the last question for our first thread will be from Calum. How deep do you want to take the bottle of chocolate milk? This one seems tailored towards you.
I'll put this in the chat, but it's referencing this particular emote. Where's my channel emotes?
Oh, okay. It's
referencing this emote and
talent.
Yeah, we had a running joke in Hungary because our hotel was like right next to a convenience store, and pretty much every single meal where we ate, almost every meal that we weren't at a restaurant in Hungary, like breakfast and lunch, I would get a bottle of chocolate milk because for some reason Hungarian chocolate milk just tastes really good, and so they just I have chalky milk just became like a joke.
Chalky milk.
I would never try and deep throat that bottle because that bottle had like the plastic packaging on it was really sharp.
Ooh.
So that's not a good thing. But I could definitely shotgun that 400 milliliter bottle of chocolate milk in like a single gulp of air easily.
Just thought some strawberry milk.
I'm not into strawberry milk. It's because it tastes so artificial. Like it's not the same strawberries as strawberries you eat, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And so, like, it's the same reason I don't like banana milkshake, because it's not the same as real banana, and I mentally just cannot reconcile that difference.
See, for some reason, I think, like, whenever I have, like, banana or strawberry, like, milkshakes, I already understand that what I'm having is, like, fake as all hell and bad for me. So I'm just gonna go and roll with, like, all, like, the serotonin that you get from, like, that, like, sugar high, because I feel like it's just the extra sugar that's like making it taste so different.
Maybe.
Alright. On to the next
thing. Coconut ice cream is like
coconut
I can definitely do, like even the fake coconut ice cream I'm okay with. It's just strawberry and banana
Alright. Next question from Sutore. For both Toku and Zistro, which clan do you hate the most from a personal perspective rather than a meta perspective? So personally, I hate Link Joker, but not Link Joker. I hate deleters. And this is personal because I hate how they look. That shit gives me nightmares, all those like Eldritch horror things. Even though I love Elden Ring, even though I love Dark Souls, something about like the way the deleters look just rubs me the wrong way. So as a kid, there was this like MS-DOS game I used to play called Tyrion. Let me see if I can look it up. Yeah, Tyrion. And basically, it was like a very early bullet hell game. And when you beat the game, I strictly remember this one cutscene where it would show you like a dismembered spine with like tendrils coming out as nerves, as well as a skull head. And like when I saw like deleter cards again, that just like popped back up to my memories. Like, no, this is bad mojo. I'm not having this.
Okay.
See if I can find it for you. Alright, what about you? What is your most hated clan, personally?
It kind of comes out from a meta point, but not exactly. But I personally really hate Gear Chronicle. Like, again, I keep going on about, like, mid-G era. And as you remember, like, between, like, GBT 03 to, like, GBT 10, I think Gears were getting support, like, almost every set. Like, in fact, let me look. I've never actually bothered looking this up, but let me look up exactly the sets Gears got supported in.
Oh, they got supported a lot.
Okay, so it started in GBT 2, GBT 4, GBT 5, GBT 7, GBT 9, GBT 11, 12, and 14. So at least every two main sets. Then there was a clan booster, GPT-4. Then there was the trial deck, the Time Leap trial deck.
Yeah.
Like, there was just so much Gear Chronicle rolling around. And in fact, like, I think even right now, I think not accounting for VR, like, but at the end of G, despite being the newest clan, Gears had the second most amount of cards as like behind Royal Paladin, which I think is like that's kind of fucked up. Like I think that's kind of fucked up. And so
It definitely feels like they shoved it down your throat.
Yeah, that's kind of why I hate it. It's like, you know, like Chrono ended up becoming a good main character. Like I really enjoyed his character towards the end, but you know, like during like the sort of Stride, Gate, Gears, Crisis arcs, to me he was just some whiny little bitch, like who just like. Again, during the anime at that time, Chrono never lost a game, and I was like, fucking main character syndrome, like plot armor. Like,
oh, and like every time I think like
character clan, like I'm
always being able to on last attack. Oh, double crit! Oh, it's my skill.
Yeah, so like I just got so bored of Gears. Like I get that it was the main character, they need to support it, but you know like. The main character, in my opinion, was like, you know, written quite poorly. Like, it wasn't written towards the strengths of the clan. Like, I'm not saying that Gears didn't need to exist, but they didn't need to take the fault. Like, they didn't need to push everyone else off the stage the way they did.
Yeah, it definitely felt like they were like pushing an envelope with like how much they were supporting Gears.
Yeah, like I'm okay with catching them up. I'm not okay with making them the only way to play G for like most of the G's lifetime.
Yeah. Okay. Nikki Goldman, SBTCG Nikki. What should I eat today? You know what? In topic of today's video, you should eat some noodles. Be it pho noodles, be it udon, have some kind of good noodles, because...
No, I think, given the weather, given the environment, I think it specifically has to be hiyashi chuka. The cold noodle salad.
Ooh, yes. That sounds very good as well. Alright, Nikki, if you're watching this, that's what you're going to eat today. Even if it's not today that you're watching it, next time. Okay, next question. We have Marshall, KBDS. Toku, why are Cockroachal Weasels the best deck? So, they're definitely not the best deck, but they are the best deck. And I think a lot of this has to be with how on theme, mechanically and aesthetically, they are to the concept of Weasel Rangers. The fact that Weasel Red is able to have its skill call the rest out is one of my favorite things. Like, it is very on brand, it is very on theme, and it matches the clan, it matches the clan identity, it matches, like, the Sentai identity, and it matches what Red, as the Red Ranger, would be able to do. And at the same time, being able to figure out that with the new Stride, the Weasel engine is what enables that all those like extra attacks, that just makes it that much better. And that is why Cockroach Weasels is the best deck. Best.
Well, fun story about that actually. Like I've been judging BSF the whole season, and I think it was in Spain. Someone brought a Weasels deck to Spain. And like I'm going through every single deck log as a part of like, you know, making sure that their deck lists are legal, and also B, to collect stats of like who's playing, how many people are playing what deck. And I get to the end, it's like, wait, there's a Weasel deck in here. And I turn to Ava, you know, the Blackfire rep, you know, who's like running the event. And I tell her like, she doesn't know much Vanguard, but I tell her like, oh, this guy's playing this Weasel deck. It's really cool. And she's like, oh, what's a Weasel deck? And I tell her like, it's like, you know, Power Rangers, like, but Weasels. You know, like, they have like, you know, there's a red one, a blue one, a green one, and they call themselves out and they do stuff when they're all on the board. And she's like, oh, that is really cool. That sounds like really fun. And I was like, yeah, it's garbage, but it's hilarious and I love it. And she was like, oh yeah, that's cool. And then, like, you know, we move on, we finish the rest of the tournament. And then in London, there's another, like, I don't know if it's the same guy or someone else, but there's a Weasels deck in London as well. And I'm going through the thing, and Ava's next to me, and she looks over my shoulder to, like, see the sheet that I'm writing everything down on. She says, oh, Weasels, that's like that Power Rangers deck you were telling me about. I was like, yes, you remember! Like, it's still garbage, but it's still funny. And, like, she went up, like, she looked, you know, we looked up who it was, and then she wanted to look at the deck, you know, to watch him how to play. She's like, she came out, I was like, yeah, that is really fun.
It's garbage.
Lost, but yeah, he lost, but it looks cool.
Honestly,
yeah.
I think if Murakumo and V got any kind of counter charge, I think Weasel would be kind of good. It's the fact that there's no counter charge. But yeah, next question for Zistro now. Is Ethics Buster still copium?
No, it's since reverse, Ethics Buster has been legitimately good. Like legitimately good. Like it's not gonna win a tournament, but like I would expect to win some games. Like I could see myself topping a locals with Ethics Buster, and in Premium as well. Like with Merciless Dragon, like there's stuff that people are doing with Merciless Ethics, and it's like Premium Beast Deity is almost a real thing. Like,
Yeah.
I again wouldn't expect it to win an event, but I would expect to see it like win some games at locals. Yeah, I'm full in belief. In fact, there's a Japanese player who I am friends with on Twitter. It's a guy by the name of Natsuki-san. Let me grab his Twitter handle real quick.
Daimao Niko-chan?
Yeah. Is it? No, it's Dai something. Oh, it is Daimao. Yeah. So he recently played in like some VGCS, and he was playing Deck Out Ethics, which sounds weird, and I agree, it is a little bit weird, but yeah, it was a really cool deck, and like when I saw the list, I was like, damn, this is super hot, and you know, like it wasn't good at all, but it looked really fun, and it's that sort of like, wow, this was possible. I was like, damn, I'm into this, like I'm super into this. In fact, let me link the tweet in the chat.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was kind of like yeah. So like Pakamobo says, it's very similar to Shout Mill. It just also has like that backup engine as well. So super cool.
Alright, we're looking at it. Oh damn, yo, we've got like some old cards here as well, and all including some prison. This is interesting. Yeah. So we got the Shout Mill engine. We got the prison engine.
Which helps towards Shout Mill.
Yeah.
And then you have the Legion to stop yourself from decking out. It's like super genius. I really like this.
Yeah, this is cool. I like this. This is very smart.
And like, because you go into Merciless, and then while you're doing Shout Mill with Merciless, sure, you're losing cards from your deck, but you're also applying pressure to them and refilling your hand at the same time, which I think is great.
I want to chime in on Ethics Buster as well, because one of the things I liked the most about Ethics Buster Reverse when it came out, that a lot of people were just like, oh, you're losing all your rearguard attacks. But you're losing so what I first recognized was that you were losing piddly rearguard attacks. Like, rearguard attacks that had no pressure, could easily be guarded, in exchange for more Vanguard swings. And more Vanguard swings, if, like I said, if you got that crit on the first one, every other Vanguard swing after that, because you're not rewriting, you keep that crit, it just gets harder, more stressful to guard. And I think that was the main thing why I thought Ethics Buster was good. Not to mention, like, the Beast Deity engine from, like, grade 0 to grade 3 was very strong. Like, you had a lot of raw plussing in there. As well as Sazanda, Palkomova Sazanda. The Sazanda card?
It's a Victor card. You wouldn't play it in Beast Deity, but, like, it's... So, Beast Deity still has garbage rear attacks. That's never changing. It's just that now you can turn, like... You can turn all those cards that you would be getting into an actual game plan, as opposed to just, here's a 14k Typhoon Bird, here's a 22k Black Tortoise. Oh.
And now you're able to actually have, like, yo, this is a 33k crit Vanguard, here's the 38k crit Vanguard, now it's 43k crit Vanguard. Do you have the 4 PGs required? And I think that's why having Ethics Buster Reverse to kind of, like, reverse the concept of Nova Grapplers attacking their rearguards a lot into just, I'm going to swing Vanguard a lot here, is probably what Ethics Buster needed. And now on to our last Twitter question. Gene asks, when will Royal get a good G-Guard? So this is probably in response to the new G-Guard we got for Premium Collection, which I believe...
What does that thing even do? I need to read it real quick. Hang on.
You gave one of your grade 2s 5k shield, and also when it intercepts, you can counterblast 1, soul blast 1 to turn it into a PG intercept. If I recall correctly. It's not amazing.
When this unit is placed on Guardian Circle, choose one of your grade 2 units, it gains 10k shield, and when this intercepts, counterblast and soul blast 1, choose one of your units, it cannot get to the end of that battle. That's garbage, but okay.
Yeah, so the first point that I
What's
hate
the-
about that
why
card.
would you wait? Why would you give the Interceptor 10k shield when it's already a perfect guard? Huh?
Yeah, exactly.
Huh?
It's wasted text. It is wasted text.
Maybe if this game 10k shield, it would be good. Yeah.
Yeah, like if itself gave like, or like even if it split the shield, like if you're able to like have like that 5k extra on the G guard and then 5k on that shield intercept, then you could like have the 20k G guard and then be able to intercept a smaller attack for 10k, or be able to then G guard for 20k and then on a later bigger attack intercept with the PG effect. But because of the way that like the power has been split up on the shield, because the fact that it doesn't protect that rear guard that you chose in general, so God forbid that you give it to that rear guard, and then they're just like, okay, on attack retire that rear guard that you gave the PG effect to. So there's just way too many ways to play around it that needs to be improved on. When will Royal get a good G guard? I am hoping for the next premium collection. So many of Royal G guards right now have been very dependent on having a board. And the stronger decks in the format right now have ways of dealing with your board. And then Royals...
You would have thought that a G guard that makes a board would have been in the works by now.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, DP got a G guard that literally just plus them one, whereas the Royal G guard that pluses to board as well. Yeah. Jewel Knight G guard to play over your own stuff. Very cool. Thanks, Bezos. But yeah, do you have an input on when Roy will get a good G guard? I think the best G guard they have, unironically, is Maron. The Maron G guard. Yeah, Blaster.
I think the problem is it's very hard to design a good G guard for Royals, because Royals' whole thing is like, you know, playing to the board. So having a G guard that doesn't need a board kind of almost feels borderline out of place, right? Like,
yeah.
It feels almost like off-brand or off-clan in a way. So I can see why they've made every single G guard up until now like need a board. And like, that's the thing. Gold Paladin has 2 G guards that make a board. You've got Elise and you've got the new G guard. Both of them called units to Rear Guard Circle. And I think it's very hard to design a Royal Paladin G guard that's good but not broken. Like, you know, if it gains like 5k shield for each of your units, that's obviously insane. If it gained like 10k shield for every 2, even 10k shield for every 2 units, that's still really insane. And it doesn't help that you have 2 very wildly differing playstyles for Royals to play with. Like, you have Altmile, who cares about grade 2s, you've got Sankguard, who cares about grade 1s, you've got JK, who cares about overcalling, and then you've got TSD, which is, you know, whatever thing Saber wants to do. And you can't design a G guard that specifically works for one of them. Or, well, you can, but then it becomes bad for the rest.
But then it becomes just focused on that one, and it just pushes that one higher. And
like, generically good is really hard, I think, for Royal Paladin to get right.
Yeah. All right. Now, so I have some Twitch questions here. First from Kimira. What are your guys' favorite clans in G and V and Nation in Duress? A pretty basic question. In G, my favorite clan was Aquaforce. Alexandros coming out being able... And Alexandros, but at the same time not having the new once per turn ruling, made Tidal Assault very interesting and a lot of skill testing. I like the concept of having those persona crits act as fake attackers just to turn on waves. I think that's something that a lot of people didn't realize could be done with those crits. Like, just being able to swing for a whiff and then that counting as wave 1 meant so much more in a deck like Aquaforce than in any other deck. In V, my favorite deck right now has to be, as weak as it is, or as bad going second as it is Thing Saber. I think if you are able to get that initial hump across, that grade 3 ride, and you're able to make it to turn 4, turn 5, Thing Saber scales exponentially. The deck compression, the ability to recycle your heals, the fact that most of your plays can be done on one counterblast, that is what I really like about Thing Saber. Just being able to grind out your opponent to the fact that, like, you're able to cycle more force markers each turn, and then having those force markers get doubled up by Thing Saber Dragon's on-ride skill to give the power to Blast Blade Seeker as well. I think the fact that it has longevity in the game I mean, it scales very nicely into the game. Is my favorite part of it. And as for nations, Keter Sanctuary. Once I saw Bastion, once I saw that like really sick looking knight, and even now with like Youthberg, for some reason my aesthetic as I've grown as a Vanguard player has gone from like the waifus in Bermuda to like these like really cool looking dude bros. And for some reason I like find that the most funny. That like it was like Bastion and Youthberg that like caught my eyes and not something like Eva or like Seraph Snow. I was just like, dude, these bros are so cool. These are like people I want to like share a beer with.
Gee, like my favorite clan has obviously always been Link Joker, but Gold Paladin was a really really close second, like incredibly close second. Like I still have my fully max red bluish flame deck lying around somewhere. And, you know, like it's the reason I still own a max rare Gold Paladin G Zone. So it's really close, but I do think obviously Link Joker wins out just a little bit. But yeah, in V, like we started with deleters, and deleters were shit, and I kind of lost faith a little bit. And you know, V Chaos is bringing, like V Starvaders in general are starting to come back around a little bit, but not as much. But yeah, I think like throughout the majority of V, my favorite clan was actually probably Shadow Paladin. It was the one I played the most. Like I went from PBD to Mordred, and then to Luard. So that's like, you know, that was one I stuck around with a lot. I don't know if I feel comfortable calling it my favorite clan in V though, because I'm not into Revengers. I don't have any Revenger pieces, and you know, it's like if I get the opportunity to play V, it's not the one that I want to play the most. I think that title does have to go to Angel Feather. Like, you know, between Gavrel and then Malkuth, you know, I'm still on Malkuth. I still have all the Gavrel pieces somewhere. I think I actually have a Ramiel deck floating around somewhere. Just I built out of spares from Malkuth and Gavrel, and I just haven't like I actually haven't sat down to optimize Ramiel yet. But I know that, you know, there are people that have, so I might sit down and go back again for Ramiel Reverse at some point. Kyriel is coming out. I'm also really excited about Kyriel. So yeah, I think I've become really attached to Angel Feather, like towards the tail end of V. And as for Overdress or Standard, I think the favorite nation is by a long shot, definitely Lyrical Monasterio. Like, I'm not really a huge Bermuda fan. Like, the only Bermuda I own is Prism, and that's because I like Water Arco's artwork. You know, the Labrador Celtic Lake line. You know, Tenahara Natsuki is cool as well. You know, I don't mind the Vert Rosa Clear line, but I'm not as into them. But yeah, you know, I was only into Bermuda for the artist. But Lyrical both has the great art, but the decks are actually good as well. Like, you know, I can feel like I can pick up a Lyrical deck and not eat shit at locals. And to me, like that goes a huge way into enjoyment of the game. Like, as much as I love Orphist, you know, when I play that deck, I eat shit. And even though Gravidia is like one of the best decks in the game right now, I don't feel attachment to it. So like on balance, I think for me it is just like Lyrical, just a little bit.
Okay. What else do we have for questions before we finish up here?
I see Brain Kyle had a few questions. Like, he asked this question twice in chat, which is, do you think Bushroad would allow using Adam from Record of Ragnarok? Because, you know, the art is technically nude, but at the same time, he's wearing a leaf.
Yeah.
So I would be okay with it. And so the thing is that, so putting the judge hat on, the reason we don't allow, like, you know, these questionable material like sleeves and playmats is because sleeves and playmats is something that you as a player have control over. What artwork gets put on the card, you as a player do not have control over. Sure, you can choose not to play it, but, you know, we're not going to let you not play cards. And if Weiss Schwartz can let you play No Game No Life, I see no reason a Record of Ragnarok wouldn't let you play Adam. So, yeah. What else we got? Scroll up through the chat.
Yeah. Double R asks, how do I get 5% off of Strictly Broken TCG? Well, it's a good thing you asked. So you can use either of our discount codes, that is SBTCG, TOKU for 5% off any order on Strictly Broken TCG, or you can use SBTCG, Yellow Card for 5% off any order on Strictly Broken TCG, where you go for your Bushiroad card game needs. And so Lord asks, what expectations do you guys have from DD? Honestly, so now that I've played Battlesphere's Connected Battlers as well as Vanguard EX, and these are both Furuyu games for like the TCG aspect. I'm gonna be blunt. I'm not enthusiastic.
I'm expecting another Vanguard EX, straight up. Like, so there is a player that a game like that fills a niche for. I think Vanguard DD existing is a good thing. I'm not going to rush out to buy it. I don't think I'm going to buy or play it because I don't really want to spend £60 on a standard format simulator.
Mm-hmm.
Like, like I don't play card games for the story mode. I play card games to learn the card game.
Yeah.
And to like practice what I've learned.
Yeah.
And yeah, like DD just doesn't do that for me. It's just you get to practice standards. Like I don't hate standard. I'm just not mega enthusiastic about it. So like if someone's looking forward to DD and is going to enjoy DD, power to them. I support them. Like great. Please love the game. Please enjoy the game.
Yeah.
It's just not for me.
I think the way that I look at it is, having played EX, having played Connected Battlers, the engine that Furuyu uses is clunky and slow. And as someone who likes to grind games, I really like to grind games. I want to, like, in one sitting, I want to be able to punch out as many games as I want to, like, collect data, to create, like, a good sample size, to figure out matchups, to figure out ins and outs of a certain deck with a matchup to another deck. In a game like DD, and in a game like EX, Connected Battlers, and then, in essence, basically would be translated into DD as well, I don't think I'd be able to get as much data playing DD as I would rather than just like simming on Cardfight Area or playing over Cam with the other guys. So as for that, I'm happy that it exists. I'm happy that it serves as a venue on Steam, on Switch, that people who haven't played Vanguard yet are able to look and get curious about it, and with like the success of Master Duel, may be enticed to go into Vanguard, which then translates to more in real life business, which then translates to more in real life players. And so because of that, I'm happy about its existence, but as a tester, as like someone who really likes to grind games and like basically figure things out, it's not for me. But I appreciate its existence.
Yeah, like it's a great gateway tool. It's a garbage endpoint, I think is the basic way of putting it. Like,
yeah.
Here's the thing, right? I am okay with Master Duel. I hate Legacy of the Duelist. Because Legacy of the Duelist is bashing your head against puzzles, or like, playing stuff that you don't want to play. Like, I enjoyed the PSP Go games because once you reach the point, you could build whatever the hell you want and play whatever you want, however you want. You can't do that in Legacy of the Duelist. And to an extent, like from what I've seen of Vanguard EX and these other like card game video games, it's very hard for you to get to that point, right? Like I was watching Chris replay Stride to Victory on his 3DS like a while ago, and it's harder than it. You can't say like, I want to go out and build Messiah and play. You have to like play through the game, fight against people, grind for these things.
Yeah, get credit, buy packs, not get what you need.
And like some people enjoy that. Some people enjoy that process. I don't like. That's why, as much as I love Duel Masters, I hated the Duel Masters Game Boy Advance games. Like, the only reason I could put up with it is because in the Duel Masters Game Boy games, you could win specific cards by doing challenge duels. That's the only reason I put up with it, because you just spam this challenge duel, get 4 copies of Ladia Bale, and there you go. Or like, getting packs was easy enough, like, to get what you needed. But like having to grind the old-fashioned way was, definitely like a nightmare. Like, yeah, the old Yu-Gi-Oh! World Championship games. Those were good.
Those are really good.
Yeah. Because, like, the rate at which you get cards in those was way higher. It was just way more enjoyable.
Yeah.
For me, at least.
And I think, are there any other questions before we call it here? It's just scrolling back up again. Favorite clans, GV, Nation's Dress, Butcher Road, Adam from Ragnarok. Do you have any specific format that struck in memory like a big result during GPT-13, VEB-13, WGP? Any specific format that struck in memory? Um, for me, I think it would have to be whatever said Ultimate Stride was. Was that GPT-13?
Yeah, it was when
Yeah.
Megiddo and Drachma were the
Yeah.
first ones.
I think GPT-13 struck out to me in memory because it was probably what I would call the first triangle meta in Vanguard. I think the big three at that point was Chaos Breaker, Overlord, and Aquaforce.
Deleter, not Chaos.
Deleter. Okay,
Yeah.
so not Chaos, but Deleter. But
Yeah, Deleter, Thavas, Overlord.
yeah, Deleter, Stavus, Overlord, and it basically kind of like came in a way where certain deck, it was like rock paper scissors basically, and that sticks out to me because it was interesting to have just recently come out of like Zodiac Time Beast, Time Leap format into instantly something new. All of a sudden, all these decks got a bunch of relevant support that now push whatever was gone into submission.
Yeah, I never considered that before. Yeah, GPT-13 literally threw away the because I was gonna answer the meta just before GPT-13. So like between the time frame of GPT-6 to GPT-11, it was like what you had Blasters, Night Rose, Time Leap, Luard joined halfway through that.
Yeah.
But like it was always those four decks like you got weaving in between each other, right?
Yeah.
And like the reason I really enjoyed that was because that all of those decks required skill to play at the highest level, and they were all even Time Leap, they were all interesting decks. But yeah, I never considered that GPT-13 literally killed all, well, not Royals, but yeah, GPT-13 literally threw all four of them, pushed them out of tier 1. That's something I never thought about before. That's interesting. Like, I still like the sort of just before then format of Luard versus Gears versus Night Rose, because I think that was just before we entered the Ferris wheel meta. So that was when those decks were not at their peak, but I think it was like we were just about to peak, crest the hill of what is G design.
Yeah, the way now that you're making Ferris wheel meta, yeah, I think it was definitely near towards like the beginning of GPT-13 that we started to see new set top, and then new set top, and then new set to the top kind of thing.
Like compared to like GPT-11 or 12, right? Where you had say Gears, Gears was the deck that you knew, and then the new set, here's one or two new cards. Same with Night Rose. Night Rose was the same deck you knew. Here's one new stride that gives you a 4th attack, which is huge. Luard, I made the documentary about Luard ages ago. Please go watch it on YouTube. Going from GPT-9 Luard to GPT-11 Luard, those were two completely different decks, and having to reevaluate that was super fun. And I think it's, we were digging out old cards that we'd never played before. Like people were playing Arcer again. People were playing Sword. People dug out Sword Breakers and stuff like that. Like just that sort of not innovation, but here's an update to your deck without throwing away the whole deck. I think was a huge thing.
Okay, and I think with that, if no one else has any questions in chat, we shall call it there. I see one last question. When will we see a Digicon exhibition match from Yellow Card? Dukemon versus Imperial Dramon. I'm actually finishing up my Dukemon deck today. I'm meeting up with Kevin to get all the last pieces I need. You guys know him as Catalyst 04. So my deck should be done and ready. How's your Imperial Dramon looking?
It's been done for a while. I think it's only lost a very small handful of games. I'm about to hit up locals tomorrow, so we'll see how that goes.
Oh wait,
it'll be my first time playing EX2, but yeah.
This will be a good question to end off the stream on. How did Zishul Toku tag team come to be? So, flashback to
because I don't remember a lot of the details.
Yeah, so flashback to 2014, 2015. I think White Schwartz online community was at its infancy. So Ben and I met through White Schwartz. We played a lot of the same decks. We played Nisekoi and we played Kantai. and other various
Monogatari.
Monogatari as well. And at the same time, I had started getting into the online community for Vanguard. So Zistral was a mod for this one Discord that we were commonplace in, and that I'm not famous, I'm infamous in, for very, very interesting comments, I will say. Now, at the same time, Zistral and I would bump heads a lot, talking about what is the best way to play XYZ deck in Vice. Then I discovered Chris. I discovered Different Fight. My friend Kevin Catalyst 04, he showed me Different Fights videos. He showed me a lot of like the how to play stuff. He showed me like the deck profiles that Chris would put up, and I was like, oh, this guy is Poggy Woggies. This guy's super cool. And at the same time as that, I started looking in towards like online communities for Vanguard. So I joined Different Fights Discord community, and then I saw as a mod Zistral. So afterwards, I just kind of like hung out there, and I would talk a lot in Vanguard. I would bring up a lot of ideas. Like I would try and like get people to like discuss more about the hyper competitive side of Vanguard. Way back when, like even on the infancy of the Cardfight Vanguard subreddit as well, when Token Ranbu started being published in English, I had already been playing Token Ranbu a lot in the Japanese side of things. So I started teaching people how to play the English side of Token Ranbu. Because one of the major key factors that Token Ranbu had was columns that made 26k by themselves. You had a 9k that called a 7k, and then if that column was together, they both gained 5k. So 26k magic numbers. Now at the same time, Zistral and I would once again bump heads a lot in the Vanguard Discord for Chris's channel. And afterwards, I would then DM him privately, asking him about like certain like Vanguard stuff, because I recognized that he also had that critical mindset that I had. And eventually, one thing led to another, and it became, do you want to make a YouTube channel together? Or do you... I think we started as like a playtesting stream, where both he and I would just like spend time on Twitch, playing on TTS. And we would just be playing a lot of like things like GBT12 format, GBT13. And one of like the major things of the channel that came to be was 2 to pass, you mean no guard. Was every time I would swing Vanguard and Zistral would throw down 2 to pass. Right on cue, you mean no guard. Because I would just immediately rip 2 triggers off, like Chrono from the anime. But eventually it came a point where like instead of doing like playtest streams, we would do discussion streams. We would talk about Messiah. We would like discuss Messiah. At one point, we had Solemn on to discuss Aquaforce as well. And it was very cool to see that Solomon and I had landed on the same train that was using Saberflow as a way of advantage, since Aquaforce then started getting a lot of incidental power. Then eventually we said, why don't we make a channel? So that is how the brainchild of Yellow Card Vanguard came to be.
Why don't we discuss making a channel, though? Because I managed to scroll all the way back through our Discord history, right? So let me peel back the curtain for everyone. So the first message in our DM, literally the first message in our DM, is you messaging me, like, on the 6th of January on 2017, saying, I can either buy Blue Waves for 200, or I can buy JP Angel Feather for, like, 250.
Yeah.
Like, which is better? And I was like, oh, I think No Kill's gonna be hit by the ban list, which, surprise, surprise, it was, because Refros ended up getting restricted. Yeah. You're saying, like, oh, yeah, like, you show me, like, this list, and I was like, I don't like this list, blah, 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 like, it's missing this, it's missing that, etc., etc. I was like, you should buy Aquas, because I think, Thanos is gonna be cheap, Lambros is, like, cheap, and they're gonna stay good.
Holy moly, we have so much talking.
So that was like early January, that was January 2017. Which was that. Yeah, just saying like, buy this deck, make these changes, etc., etc. Then 2 weeks later, you're like, the guy I was gonna buy the deck off sold to someone else, Sag. And then on the 25th of January 2017, I asked for your Twitter display pic. Oh no, okay, I know why I asked for your Twitter. That's not when the channel started. I asked for your Twitter display pic for the Discord meme machine Parucast.
Right. Yeah.
Right. I look at. Okay, I thought that was when we started the channel. It wasn't. So blah blah blah.
Yeah.
28th of January 2017. You asked me if TTS is better than Cardfight Area, and I said yes because you have to deal with randoms. Blah blah blah. 29th of January. Hit me up if you want to play, Vanguard on TTS sometime. 30th of January. How do I build Gavrail? Yep, that was there. Blah blah blah. That's.
Oh my god, I gotta run back an entire fucking year here.
February 2017. I bought a playset of SP Kel's universes, and I was like, I can't believe I've done this. Some more stuff. Wait.
Okay, no, so we actually looks like we started our channel in 2018.
Really? Cause hang on. Oh, okay, right. No, I get.
Yeah, I'm looking at us make the logo right now on our Discord channel.
Sure. Because I found this message from the 3rd of February 2017 that said, I have a Kagura video to film, edit, upload, and I was like, we did stuff back in 2017, and I realized that was when I was still doing solo stuff on YouTube.
That was when you were still like aqueous reliquary.
Yeah. So there's that. Okay, some more ruling questions, more bullshit. More dumb questions. Complaining about people in DF Quad. What else? Some sleeve stuff.
Oh, I even had you help with like my fucking coding homework.
Yeah.
I'm looking at a lot of like my coding homework.
So I went from the start and I'm working forward, not working backwards. What else is there? Blah blah blah. More editing. Parucast. More Parucast. Oh, please tell me. Hang on. Please tell me this link still works. Please tell me this link still works. No, the streamable is gone. Oh, I very distinctly remember one of these streamable links was you talking about Endless 8 and laughing, and I managed to cut a different artwork.
Yes.
I remember this.
That was really good as well.
Let's see what else is there. Blah blah blah. Steam. How to use TTS. Blah, blah. Still in 2017, by the way.
Yep.
Updated lists. More TTS.
Okay, hold up. So I back in March 28th, I showed you that Messiah package on Yahoo Auctions, and then we talked about it, and then you said the Darth Sidious quote, "Become my apprentice."
That sounds like something I do.
Yeah, and then I replied with...
So there you go, there's the proof. I was using Star Wars quotes before HAL.
Yeah, you were using Star Wars quotes first.
I'm still only in March of 2017. What the fuck?
Oh my god.
Oh my god, where do we have to go?
Okay, watching... How high should I go on this? Holy shit, I want that. Okay, what is this? Page not found. Yeah, that's what I thought. We can split Messiah Chaos and split the cost. Eggplant hand emoji.
I'm still like only in late March. Wait. Okay, I found the Become My Apprenticeship. So that's end of March 2017. I found it. So that's that.
April 12, 2017. So I own Messiah now. Palpatine, it is your destiny.
I'm almost there. Hang on. I'm almost there. 5th of April. Okay, I found that. Holy shit, I want that. 6th of April, 9th of April. Yeah, okay. There's that. This was... Wait. Did Brexit happen? Oh, Brexit was 2016. Oh, holy shit, it's been 6 years. Unbelievable. Okay, yeah. So 2017 is just do you want to play? Talk about lists. More discussing lists. 2017 still. Wait. Nope. Talking about Royals versus Link Joker. Oh, so yeah, this is like me talking about like the list I was gonna play the day before Cardiff 2017. So blah blah. It's after Cardiff. I post an image with the caption "Hello" and it's just the bottom half of a card, and you immediately realize what card that is and how much of a mistake it is.
Wait, when was this?
This is June 20th, 2017, and it was me starting to SP out Nisekoi.
Oh my gosh. Oh my lord. But yeah, the distro in Tokyo history goes pretty far back. Oh, and then the
yeah,
floor.
So I like we knew each other in 2016 because as you say, like, you know, we would shitpost in Y Shorts.
Yeah.
And then it was in 2017, like it was end of 2016 was when I got into Vanguard because that's when I won BSF Cardiff with my friends. And so that's when I started hanging out in like Chris's Discord because that was the main Vanguard Discord at the time. And then I guess 2017 would have been when you joined because that's when was I already a mod in Chris's Discord when you joined or not?
You were already a mod, yeah.
Okay, so this was quite a while into that timeline then, because I was hanging out with Chris for like a year before I got modded.
Okay, yeah, so you probably joined in, hung out with Chris. I swung in after when I discovered his his Discord.
Yeah. So what the fuck is this list? Oh, this is Freeze Ray Messiah, back when Freeze Ray. This is like one of the first Freeze Ray Messiah lists in the world.
Has science gone too far?
Yeah. So we're at the same page right now.
Yeah.
So here's me helping you with your fucking Python homework.
Are you OP at Python?
How much further does this go? More Python. Still in 2017. Still in 2017?
Yeah. I think because.
Wait.
Oh, you're showing me some instant noodles, Pog?
Yeah. So hang on. While I'm looking at this, can you go on YouTube and find when the first upload was?
Yeah.
The more Python stuff. What is this? This is a Sanoa deck list.
Holy. Four years ago.
Hang on. I found it. Wait.
First upload was January 28, 2018.
Okay, so this was a bit. So this would have been late 27. Okay, here. Wait. Okay. So, on the 26th of November 2017, I started setting up my Twitch.
You're right.
Right?
Yes.
So blah 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 blah. We do some stuff. Okay, yep. We figured out how to make notifications work. Yep.
Okay.
Here we go. 20. Do I have a date for this?
11/26/2017. Shit, dude, I just had a godlike idea.
Yep. I do this thing with Tabletop Stream where I live stream stuff with some decks, explain to people card choices, lines play, etc., etc. And then you say, let me in. I'm like, yeah, sure. Because at that point, we've been talking about lists for a while. And then I think it just went from there.
Yeah.
And here we go. And then you follow up with, to be honest, I was considering asking if you want to do content with me once my exams were done. And then it went from there.
Hell fucking yeah. Team Trapped. Team Dick Girls TDG.
Imagine if we actually went with that.
Oh my god. Team Buddha on Shoda. Oh my god. Dude, we were crazy 5 years ago.
Oh yeah. And so it went from there, and then yeah. So then we start. What did we start doing? We started doing like card of the day reviews, right, on stream.
Was it card of the day reviews? I think it was mostly just like playtesting on stream that we did.
May have been, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Right. Yeah, I remember this now. Yeah, like. Right. Yeah, we would talk about like I would show my version of the deck, you would show your version of the deck, and then we would like just talk about it for like half an hour. Yeah. I remember this now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like that as well. That was actually kind of a cool thing we did for like two different heads, and then trying to like mishmash the best of both. It
feels like weird. Like I don't think we could do that for standard anymore, right?
No, because the slots are too tight now, right?
I mean, like our lists would still be different, but it'd be like
two cards difference. Wow.
Yeah, it wouldn't be as interesting.
Yeah. Whereas like
Uh,
with this, like there was so much more. There was such a bigger card pool. Oh, and then like we had like GPT-13 Kagero takes that we had.
yeah.
Oh, and then my fucking Raksha Spice. The fucking crit that gained power on retire. So like
Oh, yeah.
Hagen-Dazs, Death Hagen-Dazs.
Yeah, I remember giving stupid names to all the Link Joker G units.
Fucking Microsoft Excelix. And then back to Python. Then that was the end of it. And then you started uploading it to Acus Reliquary. A lot of that should still be
the
there.
stream VODs, yeah.
Yeah, a lot of the stream VODs should be there.
Yeah, probably. The stream VODs at least.
Oh, and then we started talking about Victor. Like the new Victor with like favorite winning champ.
Yes, I remember that. Yeah. I think that's when the YouTube really took off, because you were like, because we were talking about combos, and I was like, oh yeah, you can do this, you can do that, you can do that, and you're like, holy shit, that's cool. And then you just decided to start talking about it in a video.
Yeah. Let's see here. So VODs. Talking about Vanquisher this time with what was his name? Sparking?
Yeah.
And then yeah, we're looking at the Haruka stuff.
Then Kira Fantasia.
Oh, and then I showed you my university schedule, and it basically was like, yo, Monday, I'm free as hell, we can always do something on Monday. Weekly Mondays was a stream.
Yeah, that was when you did Card of the Day wrap-up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then showing off Liberators with the new Garmor. Yeah, you want to go live earlier today? And this was like, what is me? Oh, and then we have like your entry.
How long were we fucking re-rolling for Kira Fantasia?
We re-rolled a lot, because like the SSR rate in that game was awful.
Garbage, yeah, I remember that. Okay, now I'm at the schedule. Yeah, Mondays are free. When did we... Wait, was that not when we came up with, like, the panel and stuff? Was it that late in?
Okay, hold up. Let's see.
So obviously we started streaming before the channel. Like, that much is obvious. Like, but how far did it go?
Okay, so Solomon made his channel before we did, then it looks like.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Because I think, like, we saw him and it's like, oh, if he can do it, we can do it, right?
Yeah.
Then I remember this giant think spin loading screen. I missed that. I might bring that back one day.
Oh, then I fucking translated an entire Vietnamese video for you. Then more content memes that we share to each other. Quick question about what Numa means. Okay, nice. You're asking me about Numa. Oh, and then we talked about the goo that was Sigma. Okay, and then January 17th. Your YouTube doesn't have enough subs to stay monetized. I said we focus on the Twitch route, but
January 17th. I'm not that far yet. Give me a second.
We made all of $9, Pog. Oh, and then Asha.
Oh, okay. I see it now. Yep.
And then a bunch of Twitch VODs.
Right.
So we were focusing on Twitch there.
Yep. I see that. Yeah. Okay. I kind of get it.
Oh, and then I took... Okay, dang, this fucking Stride background has been going on forever for our channel. Size revisited. Oh, and then I had my friend make avatars for us.
Yep. We still use those occasionally, now and again.
Oh, and then you showed me Plastic Love back in 2018.
It boggled my mind that you'd never heard that before.
No, that was the first time you showed me.
Yeah, unbelievable.
On train right now. Podcast for sure. Plus, so we were thinking about initially doing a podcast.
Yep.
Oh, and then I showed you Token Ranbu afterwards.
Okay, so yeah, now I've reached the end of 2018, so yeah, okay. From that point, it was history. Yeah, okay.
Yeah. 2 to pass, you mean no guard. Legendary chant that summons triggers. Okay.
SK Kaiju, I've seen the chat, says, do you think there'll be a chance to take judge test during BCS? So the way the judge test works is that you have to do the online test first. Like, the online test is open book in that, you know, like, no one's going to stop you from looking up the answers. But the online test just, like, if anything, is to make sure that you know what answers to look up. Because once you pass the online test, you are then invited for an interview at a BCS or a BSF or like an in-person event. And then, well, I think they may have changed it over lockdown, but I think they'll be bringing this back for this coming BCS season onwards. But when I did it, like when I turned up to Springfest, they had me do a written paper test, which was, again, very similar to questions online, but slightly different. But it was the same sort of stuff, like, you know, like ruling questions, policy questions, except this time, I didn't have a document to look at. I just had to, like, you know the answers off the top of my head. So there was a written test, and then there was an interview immediately afterwards, and then they would, you know, mark your written test, and then, you know, see how you did your interview. So it's not that there will be a chance to take a judge test during BCS, it's more that if you are talking to them about being a judge at BCS, you should have already passed an online test, and then, you know, the test at the in-person test is almost a formality. Like, I think given like after BRO, but before BCS starts, they will probably open up the window for the online judge test again. So you'd be like, if you want to be a judge, apply here, and then that's how you like get into the pipeline of going online test, in-person test, you know, online/in-person interview, something along those lines. But it is like, it's a much more involved process than you might think.
In any case, I found when Yellow Card Vanguard started, 26th of January 2018. I have my Spotify, no, not Spotify, SoundCloud profile pic as it, and I have like the supersonical mouse pad that was an Opie mouse pad. I'm just going like poggers to it, and yeah, we were just talking about what names to go for, and then somehow we landed on Yellow Card Vanguard.
Yeah.
And that is basically how it started, and ever since then it's history. Once we edited it, we good, and then we just took a picture of a crit.